the next speaker, I'm going to actually challenge you and to actually get in touch with him during dinner afterwards, and talk to him about Italy and talk about his musical skills, right? And give him a lot to drink, and then he will probably tell you that he's very good in doing karaoke. And he will give you the best spot on the Amalfi Coast in Italy where you have to go to actually to create this. So I'm talking about Joe Panessa, who is really the chief strategist, but also the chief creative of Megalive. And Joe actually breeds success. He did a lot of work, I would say, for very well-known companies, BMW, Kraft Foods, Labatt. He actually headed his own digital marketing and advertising agency called Salt and Pepper, yeah, which he explained to me. Salt and Pepper case is salt and pepper, the opposite of the scale, black and white, yin and yang. He sold it off in 2014, but he's very successful and doing also a lot of work for L'Oreal. And you're going to lead us through that case, Joe, right?
Thank you.
The floor is yours. Thank you.
I can't believe anybody hasn't done this yet, so I'm just gonna grab one of these here. All right. Thank you, Europe. Thank you, Nintech. Thank you, everyone. I am beyond humbled to be here today. I did my diligence and homework on the people that were speaking before me, and I was beyond flattered that I got the invitation to also join them. It's been quite amazing. And my grandmother always told me, I won't say it in Italian, I'll say it in English. She told me, tell me who you're with, and I'll tell you who you are. So I'm beyond grateful to be here and beside you all tonight. Hello. I'm up here tonight simply as a designer. They dubbed me as a person who plans the form, look, or workings of something before it's being made or built. I've been called a furniture designer, interior designer, industrial designer, graphic designer, and then they switched that, and they started to call me an art director, and then a creative director, and then recently I was dubbed an officer of creative. All this is very fortunate. But look, I have to be honest, I'm up here from simple beginnings, and I'm up here because of I just design. How did I get into this world? I have to bring you back to where I was disrupted enough to get into design. And this exact picture, not the exact one, but a simulation of, is what I remember my brother and I lying down in the grass and looking up. And I know that he saw this, as did I. But I didn't focus on that. You see, I focused on the blue space. And the blue space to me was very interesting. But what's more interesting was, what shade of blue was it? Everyone says blue sky. And I wanted to know which blue, what blue sky, what is that blue? And what even became more interesting is I said, whoa, I'm focusing on the blue. Everyone says, look at the blue skies. And I didn't want to omit the cloud. So, what color is that white? White just isn't white. And maybe this led me into interior design, but cloud white is pretty common in builders. Could it be this chair? It's definitely not this chair that disrupted me, because this is an Eames chair. But at the age of 7, I remember it like it was yesterday. I sat in a chair, and I said, ouch. And my father asked me, what's the matter? And I said, this spot right here hurt my back. And he said, do something about it. Disrupted me. Do something about it. I can do something about it. And he told me to sketch and draw what was right and what was wrong. And this continued and continued in my life, and this is what led me to one of the previous slides that you saw as a furniture designer. The real disruption, and probably the reason why I'm on this stage tonight, happened in 1994. And it happened because of this man. This man who I do not know, he does not know me, and he did not know until this very moment that he disrupted my life. And he disrupted it in a way that taught me design could be smart, simple, and unexpected. And before I get into that moment on how he disrupted me, I need to let you know or show you and explain what was his inspirational moment in understanding what I'm going to say is the same thing that I did. It's this logo here. This logo here is the original Northwest airline Northwest Orient Airlines logo. It's been changed since, and we all call it Northwest Airlines. What you clearly see here is an N. Focus on it. Now look away and look back, and you'll see that that arrow in the left actually finishes the W. It's just been divided by a white line. Northwest. And if you take out the N, you're left with the circle that was there for the word Orient at the time, but what you're left with now is a compass and an arrow that points northwest. You see, everything that was presented to Lyndon Leader, the person I showed you prior, was teaching him to be smart in everything, and his execution had to be very unexpected. This is what led Lyndon Leader to this logo. This logo here, I'm going to just say everybody in the room knows exactly what I'm going to call out here, but actually the majority of the population never sees it. And they never see it not because of what's there, but because of what isn't. You see, it took a long time even for my brain to process that there was a white arrow in between this heavy text. Right? It wasn't the blue from FED, and it wasn't the orange from the EX. It was the arrow in here that makes the difference. And then when you talk about Lyndon and how he came to it, and I'm sure he just did what I did, he just adjusted the kerning and whoa, there's an arrow in there, and he saw it first. But think about how it applies directly to FedEx. Forward motion, it's in motion, so everything became extremely intelligent. This moment disrupted me when I saw this. Disruption, in most people, if you focus on the negative, you may actually be able to see the positive. I'm going to talk about a couple examples on how we've been disrupted by design, and then I will get into my actual prototype. Campbell's soup. Right, you're like, how did this disrupt my life? Well, let's go way back and just say, whoa, food was canned. That's pretty amazing. You know, it had to be made a long time ago. And at $3.67, it's not a bad investment. And if you think about it, it warms your heart, and you have it on a fall day, and it's good. Really, Campbell's soup took on a whole new life when Andy Warhol saw something that no one else did. And what Andy Warhol did was turn this into a piece of art. He took food in a can and put it into a piece of art. A $3.67 can now sold for $17 million. How we were disrupted and how I was disrupted was that they took something that was food, put it into art. They removed something from my pantry and put it on my wall. Not my house. I do not own a $17 million piece of art. But what happened was a simple can in my pantry was now turned into art that was put on a wall in a house, which became the most important wall in that house. While we're on the topics of walls, let's talk about how this disrupted your lives. Normal thermostat, how did that disrupt my life? Well, there's no firewood in the fireplace, and there's no fans keeping you cool in the summer. And all I had to do was turn it to control it. And recently, we have been severely disrupted by this. Looks the same, does the same thing, same turn, same clockwise motion, everything's wonderful. But how this disrupted our lives is that we control the inside from the outside. Nice picture. Can I ask everybody here, what's a picture worth? To everybody who already knows this question I asked yesterday, do not screw it up. But what is a picture worth? 1,000 words. Ding, 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 ding. The bells just went off. True. Until this guy showed up and was bought for $1 billion. Disrupted our everyday process of photography. Disrupted everything in a great way on how we can share and connect and continue sharing and connecting in a positive way. This one is one of my personal favorites. So this disrupted my life because I got to actually go outside, and you didn't know what I was listening to, but I was doing dance moves all over the street because of what was playing. And then that showed up. Now, you're like, oh, it looks better, design, disrupted. Of course, this disruption design made a difference in my life. But really, the difference here is this one would only play about 25 songs max, and this one launched with 1,000 songs. And if I have to put that into perspective, you would have had to carry around 25 cassette tapes in a purse or a backpack and make sure that you had one of these to wind up any tape that came out. This pencil also is the thing that kept me connected to all of you. So I would write down your first name, your last name, where you lived, your phone number, and then I would do my best to pick up that phone and dedicate some time to you and click, 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 and bam, we had a private call, an uninterrupted, no call waiting call. And it was beautiful, and everything seemed right. And then that showed up. And this disrupted us in design, but disrupting in design alone is not what the benefit is here. Disrupting with a positive movement is. So I now have all my contacts. You saw that I had all my music on an iPad, which I have here. And obviously, it is the new camera of choice. So everything I showed you, the examples I just showed you, were exactly what Lyndon Leader put into my head and said that design needs to be smart, simple, and unexpected. Well, let's pause on that last word for a minute, because what are these doing on screen? You see, my grandfather, when he walked every day, he had the most beautiful pair of dress shoes on, and he buffed them. And this was going in the garden. This was going to the grocery store, but these shoes were on. You see, Nike disrupted me with letting me know that this running shoe could be fashionable. They then penetrated my life one more time to remind me that the original intent of running shoes was to keep me in shape. So they now kept track of how many steps, and all of a sudden my shoes became my thinking tool for how I was burning calories in a day and if I was doing it correctly. And in 1990, we, the consumer, started to actually engage with the internet. But it really wasn't until 1998, when Google launched, that we actually started to see the power of how we could connect to the internet and how quick of access we had to companies globally and worldwide. In 2005, I started an agency in Toronto. We were known as a creative SWAT team. And in 2005, if you started an agency, it was a very exciting time because the world was like flash crazy. Everything was moving, buttons were animating. It was the best. And then our good friend over at Apple said, you are not allowed to exist on our devices. So how we were disrupted as an agency that was making a great living off of flash, amazing websites, to be disrupted and disallowed to do what we do. What do? We have to get smart. And phones and devices make us smarter. They had to make the agency smarter. Because what we were designing on the web and how we were animating and making things working was no longer working on the tools that we needed every day. Building an agency in 2005 meant that we had to be around before smartphones, before mobile sites, before anything that was commerce and ready. We even had to be around before phones got social. We had to be there before Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and we had to know that these weren't going away. You've heard a lot about trends, and a lot of things have come into our lives and not going to leave. Think about building an agency where businesses that are in this room rely on you to push them digitally, and how do you get them to be seen digitally across the world? And staying on top of this was our mission. Yet, everything I was creating and everything up until just recently, and that's what we'll get to, we were doing it built on a template that was given to us 32 years ago. Nobody has really changed the internet. This is what I want. I want to know that I can sit down, engage with your brands, look for a car, but I want to do it in a sharing way, Right now, the internet and how we use the internet isn't how it's going to be. We personally, and I know all of you, think it's really time to change the internet. How are we going to do this? Right here. And here's where I'm going to pause for a minute, and I need to talk to you. Vipin introduced me. Thank you. You gave me a couple at the beginning. And he said, you know, there's a guy coming up here that's going to talk about magazines. And we need to talk about that for 1 second. And I'm Italian, so I need to use both my hands now. Think about magazines as a whole. You have them. You don't know why you still have them. You have some that are 5 years old, maybe even older. You still subscribe. Some people subscribe, and you have digital subscriptions and everything else. But there is a way in which they are delivering their content to you. Whether you are receiving it in paper or whether you are receiving it digitally, there is a way that you are receiving this content. And it starts with the cover. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause. I'm not going to jump much, but you're going to see me shift. And this side is digital, and this side is magazine. On the internet, and most of your websites, and pretty much everyone's website in this room, you have a logo top left. And in a magazine, you have a logo only on the cover. In the internet, you have to choose between 5 and let's say 10 words. That is your navigation. You then roll over one, it becomes secondary content, tertiary content. And in the magazine world or in the content creation world on the print side, you do not. You flip a cover. You choose to read the table of contents or you do not. Either way, you are somehow pulled from the cover to explore all the way to the back. What also happens on the internet is that secondary stories and things that I'm diving into. Let's take, for example, I used this example yesterday. I'm reading in a magazine. I'm reading an article on a watch, and the watch is great, and I love the watch. It tells me everything I need to know about the watch. And at the end of that article, it says www.greatestwatch.com/you will never find me or go here again. And what you need to do is you need to understand is I'm up here today because I'm here to let you know that someone needs to deliver aesthetically what you're appreciating in magazines and bringing it to the internet. And you're probably saying, why the internet and not an app? There's a couple reasons. The internet is everywhere, and it's super connected. And apps you download, and people are investing in Android. Apple, we'll leave it there because BlackBerry just hopped over there as well. If you ever notice when you open your app, which the stats and apps are, you know, they're up and down, and there's going to be some great apps coming that might change that. But for the most part, you know, there's a honeymoon phase of 3 months, and it dissipates and dissipates and dissipates. The internet, you're on it every single day. And if there's a way to meld what we'll call the aesthetics of things that you love and keep in your house, recipes, everything else, and you attach the greatness of the apps that you have so grown accustomed to using, and apply that to the internet as so vast, then you have something that you will not let go of, and that you will have, well, it's too back, but that moment of sharing a website, engaging in a website with someone. But before we do that, I need to ask you one question. You have to scream it out. So when you're on the internet, you are doing what? Surfing. Ding, ding, ding. This is amazing. Okay, all right. But if you are surfing, you're only skimming the surface. You're only skimming the surface, and you've been doing it for many, many years. Think about how you are going about on the internet. It's almost like you're rushing sometimes until you hit, you know, the news articles and you're reading in and you want to get all those notes. I mean, that's when you found your moment. But before that, you were skimming across that water until, boom, you relax. There is a massive ocean of content below you. And someone needs to retell your digital story. They need to reorganize your digital story. It's not about publishing content and putting it on the internet. That's very easy. It's already been laid out for me. I just need to apply some HTML5, a little CSS and Java, and boom, there we are. What's more exciting is taking your already existing digital content and curating it in a way that you weren't expecting. Curating it through the browser I need you to stop surfing and dive in, Paul. I have, where is it? Here we are. Oops. Sorry about that. Sorry, I'm one of the only, I guess I'm the only live active demo, so we all know that, this can go one of two ways. Okay. Here we are, fashion. It actually starts here, Kerastas. Everything I've told you is web, and I need to curate your websites and websites. But can you imagine an agency owner that is building websites, and they come at you saying, no, you have to do this amazing thing that isn't a website, but it's a website. It's not a website, but it's a website. And this becomes scary on the other side. And although we are going to change every website in the world, there's only 1 billion, we'll figure it out. What we decided is we need to go after verticals. Verticals that, leverage digital. I was actually very excited about the presentation on the car industry specifically. Trust me, I already complimented every speaker here. I was blown away today. But that one applies to exactly what I did for the salon world. Salon world as a whole is way back. Like way back. You can go, their POS systems, you think it's an arcade game, it doesn't make sense. And as a whole, salons have a very big desire to constantly talk to their consumer. They try to inspire them by putting Time magazine in their salons and Architectural Digest and everything that has nothing relevant to what they actually do or to what they sell is in the salon world. It doesn't make sense. It also adds clutter. They invest a lot of money into their salons, and these are loved sometimes more than their houses, as dealerships. What do? I went in and I said to L'Oreal that I have this great product I'd like to show you. And before I even got to finish my sentence, they said they had a problem. And if my solution, before they saw it, could solve their problem, then we have a really good thing about to happen. What their problem was in 2008 when the stock market crashed, the average consumer used to go to the salon 4 to 6 weeks. And after that stock market crash, that turned into 6 to 8 weeks, translating into 2 weeks of billions of dollars of loss in revenue. And all they wanted from me and from us at Magalive was to increase the product in sales. They gave us a beta test. This was the test phase. And they gave us the worst possible days. They gave us from January 2nd, so New Year's is done and everyone's pretty much hungover. And they gave us till February 16th. So they gave us Valentine's Day, and I know this is being recorded, but I'm sorry, my love. Valentine's Day is the worst holiday on earth. But, they put it into our testing. Okay, great, let's root for Valentine's Day. And I'm going to show you how we beat that number substantially. So not only did they get a 1% lift that they were asking for in the worst time in the salon world, but we actually added an extra 7.8% on there. So what you're looking at right now is, you're looking at a screen, but in theory, this is a website, and we call it Magalive. Magalive, the name, is brought to you from the aesthetics of magazine we bring alive digitally through the internet. And if you're going to ask about all the funny technical stuff in the background, I'm not the actual coder that developed it, but I will tell you that we use simple code, HTML5, we use Java, and we use CSS, standard web stuff, to get the browser to talk to the operating system in the tablet and the phones. So what we have here is we have Kerastas, which was L'Oreal, still is, L'Oreal's most luxurious brand. And if you're looking here, I am sliding my finger, and on screen you're seeing it move. And to most of you, like, I've seen that before. But if it is a standard plug-in that's on the internet, it just snaps. What you're also going to see is a menu that was developed based on the client needs. And this menu is very, very malleable. And I may have time to show you one more example. But what you're seeing here is you're seeing 9 channels of interest that was chosen by them. And we're going to go into fashion for a minute, and you see it load, just like a website would load. Thank God, it just loaded. Not because it doesn't work, because Wi-Fi here is amazing. So let's go through like this was a magazine. If this was a magazine, then you would scroll 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and multiple pages right and left. We couldn't do that to you digitally. Digitally, that's just punishment to get to the next article. So articles that you would like to scroll through, you will go right and left, back, and we will go into House of Characters. So an article of interest, you then start to scroll vertically. This is the combination of print and web. We are not saying the web is dead. We are not saying print is dead. We actually think everything and both of them are alive and that they need to talk to each other. What I'm also going to show you is right here in Lookbook. Lookbook became a very exciting thing for them as a whole. So I mentioned before in salons that people are scrambling through, and then even when they don't find anything in the salon, they're trying to consult with the stylist. But consulting with the stylists can then turn into a hair disaster or a benefit, depending on how you look at it. But this one section that we put in here, and I'm not showing you because this is amazing to look at. I paused on that one yesterday too, so I'm pulling out of that one. That section there was a section, and we're going to talk a little bit, because I know we have to eat, about the take-home experience. And because this is on a tablet, does not mean that you were bound to the salon that you walked into. In fact, we will talk about bound to a salon for a second. Let me finish my thought on that, because what we were finding is the analytics, because we are on the internet, the analytics are robust. The analytics that every client wants through the internet, whether that's Google telling them they're on a page for 8 minutes or not, could now continue well past the salon. And this is what we want. This is what we want from retailers, and this is what we want from consumers. We want them to be holding this device. And where is he? Where is Case? There you are. He injected a sentence early today that I'm going to inject now with a little bit of correction. You did it great, by the way. So you saw me pause about this tablet in my hand, but I need to let you know that if I bring my laptop into the bedroom, my wife kicks me out and locks the door. If I bring my mobile device into the bedroom, she automatically thinks I'm cheating on her. And if I bring this tablet into the bedroom, she puts her head right here and she asks me what I'm reading. It was very important that when we introduced magalive for the first time to the world, that we focused on a tablet-driven experience, one that looks beautiful on your smartphone and looks amazing on your laptop. But I'm just saying that this is it. We are in for the emotional connection between digital and person, and we are into retelling your stories in a lifestyle way. I want to pause right here on lifestyle, then I'm going to talk to you about this wonderful moment I had with the Chief Ambassador of Education globally. And when they first asked me, Joe, what are you doing? You know, this content here has nothing to do with our salons. You know, you said you were going to avoid this. You removed Time Magazine and Architectural Digest. And I said, you know what, you're right. But if all I'm delivering is lipstick, eyeshadows, tweezers, blow dryers, and everything else, how interesting they're going to know that you are marketing to them. And that's what you don't want. In fact, what you do want is you want to build a profile. Now, I told you earlier that there was a statistic, and we blew it out by 7.8%. When I was delivering this success metrics, a total of 8.8% lift, and if you were to look at L'Oreal as a whole, we will say that between Canada and the US, there's roughly 150,000 salons, and carry that over. And if you do the math, in the 2 weeks, from January 2nd to February 16th that we were in beta, the 2 weeks that we were trying to make up in time, we translated sales of hundreds of millions of dollars in potential gain. And obviously at that moment, it was lost because it wasn't implemented globally. And when I said this message to, they were the most important people that I needed to deliver this message to. I was being tested. And when I delivered it, I'm going to use my foot because there's no table here. I won't swear, I promise. And I got this. Slammed the hand on the table. And you can see that I'm hair challenged. So when I get extremely nervous, I sweat, and when I sweat, everybody sees it. It's not nice. But what they said to me, I am going to put on a Parisian accent because I do honor the place in which they came from, but I apologize because there's not a direct, I'm not a ventriloquist or I'm not a professional comedian. But they said to me, Joe, I have to swear out loud. Joe, I do not give a shit. I couldn't do it. I do not give a about the products you sold. Panic moment. Because for the first time in 100 years, we know who our consumer is. And I knew that I was delivering analytics. We knew that we were capturing data. We knew it. We knew it all along. And I knew that I was going to be delivering great consumer engagement and great, numbers and everything they wanted to see. But what I didn't know was that it was immediately recognized after beta. And as a company, to dive into what a client needs more than money in order to sustain their business became the defining moment of the company. So although we are delivering a beautiful aesthetic, that's beautiful jewelry. My wife has asked me for, this a million times. She won't get it because it's a couple $100,000. We are very, very proud of that analytic. And how I'm going to show you one of the last things right now. I'm going to show you on how we got to the ROI. And it's exciting for me to talk to because it's not just in the way that we delivered it. What you're looking at here is actually what's live on the Kerastase site. They have a hair diagnostic tool currently. The beauty of building something through the web and borrowing information from another site is that you can aggregate it in the way you want. So, sorry to say, but their website version of hair diagnostic is not as nice. So we corrected it visually first. Identical steps, identical product that comes to you. So let's just talk about my hair that's losing a little bit of density. There it is. There it is. Okay, that's the moment that we did not want to happen live. Okay. What happened there is step one, you choose. So I chose losing my hair. Step two, you choose that you want shiny hair, and then you choose it. In step three, it spits out 3 products. 3 products. And I'm upset that I'm not showing you this right now because of what's under the 3 products. It's not about the products. You see, when you came to that screen, you see 3 products, and underneath the 3 products are 3 gray hearts. Before that screen shows up, there's a big message that pops on the screen that says, touching a gray heart turns it pink. Pink lets reception know that you're either interested or you want the product. With L'Oreal, because we get a lot of questions here, how will it impact IT and how will it do this? And we were very aware that they have archaic systems, much like car dealerships in half the world. Unless, of course, you're dealing with Nintech, and because they're awesome. I haven't told you the partnership yet, but I will, because we really can't. I just told you about 1 billion websites. We can't actually do it without Nintech. And that's the honest to God truth. And I'm very happy to have them as a partner. But what they didn't know is that we set up an iPad in front of reception, very separate. And very separate, they weren't looking at pretty pictures like you're looking at now. I'll put up some men for all the women in here. That's not fair to just show men. But what the reception was looking at was a stock ticker. So you come in and you log in and you give an email of whatever. It doesn't have to be real. It doesn't. You can fake it all you want if you think I'm going to spam you. But if you do want to engage with this at home, you give me a real email. The minute you enter your email, you're sent an email, and it allows you to come back into this experience when you're at home. But what was exciting is that the receptionist was watching your every move. Hey, Paul, how you doing? Here you are. You're here getting color. They're seeing how much color you're using and everything else. And the best part about this is that my intention was always never to help sell online. Although it's natural, it's digital. I can sell online. I can turn this into a commerce play if I want. But what I wanted is much to talk to your retail and retail problems. I want to push back to people. I want to take a tool, magazine aesthetic or not, internet. I want to turn it into a way that you're consumed by it, where it looks and reads like a story. And I want you to be so happy with it in the end that you engage, and you engage with a person. So what was happening at the end of the experience was Mary was walking up and would say, hey, I saw that you like this product, and this product. Do you know that this is on sale and this is combination? If you want to buy this for somebody, here's what it was. This human interaction based on what you liked and loved, because we're already accustomed to clicking hearts and likes. You see, I didn't want the consumer to feel like they were buying something on the click. It was always just to find out what they like. Let us know what you like. That casual. That's what turned into an 8.8% lift in sales, an actual 8.8% lift in sales. There are a lot of things that I can show you. There's video integration, there's social integration, there's advertising. There's a million things that we can go through right now. And the reason why I don't need to show you all of them, unless you want to, no, it's okay, is because anything you can do on the internet, you can do in magalive. Anything that you loved in the visual print and how you're looking at it will look that way in magalive. You see, my dream is to bring you a website that you're looking at on your bed, not an app or a Kindle that you're reading. I want you to look at websites the way that you adorn that content. I know it's going to happen. It's happening now. Success is already on our doorstep. I'm here to impress Nintech, and I'm here to talk to all of you, but I was really blown away that I was coming on stage and with all of you ahead of me. And she could see me, I'm saying stuff out loud, and I'm interacting on the computer, and she asked me one question. And she said, Daddy, you happy, Daddy? And instead of answering her, I said, why do you think Daddy's happy? And she looked at me and she said, because you make me happy, Daddy. And all I really want is I want to make all of you happy, like my daughter told me I make her. Thank you very much.